Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 60 something, maybe 50, 61. I think I already passed 60. But good Lord, it has been so long since I podcasted that I can't remember what episode I'm on. Obviously, it will be correct in the opening little segment. And yeah, apologies for not being totally in the groove of things today. I haven't podcasted in like 3 or 4 weeks, and that I think is the longest I've gone since starting this podcast. So yeah, it feels a little weird to be once again talking to my phone in my living room by myself, but I really wanted to sneak one in today. Today is Monday, May 21st, 2018, and I'm here in Cross Plains, Wisconsin, where I live with my fiance, and yeah, soon to be not my fiance, soon to be my husband, which is very strange. We get married in less than 2 weeks, so yeah, the preparations are in full swing, obviously. I mean, we've been preparing for months now, but the final details are all coming together, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. That is pretty much the reason why I haven't podcasted in so long. We have been really busy getting things ready. The last few weeks I've been gone over my days off on Monday, so I was up in Winona for one of the weekends. I was down in Illinois at my mom's house for, was that last weekend? Yes, last weekend, Mother's Day weekend. And this weekend, actually, I was supposed to be golfing right now outside. It is raining, it is gray and cold. It is only about 54 degrees Fahrenheit, which is quite chilly. And we decided not to golf in that, so that's why I'm home right now. I also did something to my arm. I screwed my arm up. There's a muscle right here called your deltoid, and I somehow strained my center deltoid muscle, and cannot lift my arm more than about what I just did without it being extremely painful. So that's another reason why I'm not golfing today. But so that means that I get to film a podcast. I am feeling a little bit of guilt though, because I do have some things for the wedding that I have left to do today on my last day off of the week. And but I decided I don't know, I was really afraid that if I waited until after the wedding, which would have been a full almost month and a half since my last podcast, I was kind of worried that I would never kind of get back into it, that too much time would have gone by and I would lose, I don't know, I would feel either awkward about coming back or I don't know. So I was kind of wanting to slip one in here while I could, so that I could catch up with you guys and kind of reconnect. So that's what we're gonna do today. I am drinking my cup of coffee, my first cup of coffee for the day, even though it's just after 11 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so I better take a few more sips because maybe that's why I'm not quite all there right now. All right, so I'm gonna just make sure that's not gonna fall. I think we're good. So much has happened since I saw you guys last. I don't even know, I mean, yeah, I don't even know where to begin. I suppose I will begin with my works in progress, like I usually do, and I think some of the fun things that happened over the last few weeks that I'd like to tell you about, I think that will all just get told as I show you my projects, as I show you my acquisitions, because I do have acquisitions. And yeah, there was a bit of yarn bought this month, but there were some really cool, fun things that I did and people I saw, and so I had to. You'll understand. I know you will. So first, let's talk about this whip. I wasn't going to show it because I have showed it so often and hardly anything has changed, honestly. But since I haven't podcasted in so long, and I have been working on it a little bit over the past couple weeks, and yesterday, I worked on it yesterday because I finished something else. So this got picked up finally again, and apologies, I'm going to be kind of showing you things weird again because I can't really lift my arm, so I don't really know how this is going to work, but I might not be able to show you the projects to their best potential. Is that the right word? I don't know. So this is my piece of silver sweater. This is a pattern by Vera Valimaki, and it was in the first issue of the Lane magazine. Let's see, I'm knitting this out of Miss Bab's yarn. I'm not sure what the base is called, but it was in a gigantic skein of about 1,300 yards, I think. So if you're like curious about, I'm pretty sure it's a 75-25 blend, and if you're curious about that, you can go on her website and see what the actual base is called. But this is all from one skein of yarn, and that's how much I have left after almost finishing the body, which is awesome. I am not worried at all about running out, and I am on the ribbing down here. So yeah, this is just a 2x2 rib. I'm on size 2 US 2 needles. I am lengthening it slightly. The sweater calls for more of a cropped fit, but I don't wear like high-waisted jeans, and that's not really my style. I feel like I would be very uncomfortable and keep kind of like pulling my sweater down if I had it super cropped. So I think I lengthened the body by an inch, and then I'm going to lengthen the ribbing at the bottom by another inch or inch and a half, so that'll give me, you know, an extra few inches in the body. And then with blocking, I kind of held it up to myself, and I still think it's a little short. I have a little bit left to go on the ribbing, of course, but I'm still kind of worried about it being too short. But then I figured with blocking, I can stretch it a little bit too. These stitches are pretty loose at this gauge. I knit the body of it on US 5s, and I think that there's going to be a lot of stretch to this, a lot of give. So I'm crossing my fingers because I would hate for it to be, you know, too short, having to rip back. I'm really bad at doing that. I really admire all of these people who, I know a couple people at least who have finished a project, they don't really fit right, and so they take out the bind off, and they connect their yarn again, they pick up their stitches, and they either, you know, rip a little bit out or they lengthen it. I feel like if that was me, I would just ball it up, throw it in the corner of my closet, and not look at it again. I could talk about, I'm going to go back, I'm going to take the bind off out, I'm going to knit more. It would never happen. And I just know that about myself. I don't like doing futzy things like that. I don't know. Even though I know I would wear it if it was a little bit different, or if I fixed this, or I would rather just call it a loss. Isn't that bad? Oh my gosh, that sounds so bad. That I'm not willing to go through like the extra step to make it what I want it to be. But I'd rather just check all my boxes at the beginning and not have to go back and redo it. And yeah, I hope that doesn't make me seem like lazy or like yeah, but that's just me. So I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna keep kind of fitting this to myself, holding it up. I might even try it on. I have the sleeves on waist yarn, so that would be pretty easy for me to slip my arms into. And if I put like a stopper or something, or put it on a bigger cord, I think I'd be able to slip it over my head. and yeah, and try it on. So I'm really excited that I'm almost done with the body. This sweater has taken so long because it constantly got put on the back burner. It was just sort of the thing I would pick up and knit when I had nothing else to, or when I finished a different project and just needed a mindless knit. But inevitably I always cast on something that had a higher priority, and so this got put to the back burner. But hopefully I will get it done by the fall time. You know, if it took me this long from January to May to knit the body, good Lord, I don't know how long it's going to take me to knit the sleeves. So as long as it's done by next fall, or by this fall I suppose, we'll be good. Although today I probably could have worn a lightweight sweater like this. 55 degrees now, and I don't think it's going to get too much warmer. Maybe it'll hit 60, but yeah, so I probably could have worn it today even. So that is the project I worked on yesterday. I had a couple hours of knitting time in the morning, and this morning when I woke up, I always like to kind of start my morning out slow. I have breakfast, I drink my coffee, I usually, will either listen to a podcast or watch a knitting podcast. And this morning I started the beginning, I haven't finished it yet, but the beginning of the new Girls in the Yarn Cafe podcast. They have a new episode out. So I was kind of catching up with them, and while I was still waking up, I cast on a sock. And it is teeny because, like I said, I just started this less than an hour ago while I was still waking up. So it's a toe-up sock. I'm on size 1 US needles, and these are 40-inch. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about this whip. I am going to be knitting my fairy tree socks pattern again, which I am so excited about. I designed, sorry, I'm messing with the tail and the working yarn there. I designed this pattern a month or so ago, in March. Yeah, so about 2 months ago, and I love it. I've knit one pair. I've been dying to knit the second pair, but again, I had to finish some other things first, and I finally cast this on. The other reason why I'm so excited to knit another pair is I can't wait to see how it looks knit in a gradient. So for those of you who may be watching for the first time, I work at Knit Circus Yarns in Madison, Wisconsin, and let's see, this is the little package that the sock set comes in, so that's why it's crinkly, sorry about that. But we specialize in gradient yarns, and we do this really cool thing where we dye 2 little cakes of yarn to match perfectly so that you can have a matching pair of socks. And this is one of our newer colorways from this spring called Sherwood Forest, which my literary and book loving heart loves. And Sherwood Forest is just this really beautiful green. Sorry about the lighting. It's kind of, like I said, it's really gross today, so artificial light is all we have. This nice green to a dark like olive is in the middle, and that transitions to this bluey purple and out to like a very navy midnight blue. So I loved this color the first time I saw it when we were releasing it and putting it in the store, and I told myself when I was ready to knit another pair of fairy tree socks that I wanted to do out of this. I think that the transitions in color aren't too extreme where it's going to take away from the pattern. I will put a picture of my finished pair of fairy tree socks that I knit earlier this spring so you can see what the pattern itself looks like. But It has cables running up both the sides, and then it has kind of a textured pattern in the middle. And yeah, I thought that this gradient wouldn't really take away from the, you know, the cables. You'd still be able to see them really well, and the texture and everything. And you know, the whole idea behind the fairy tree socks was inspired by kind of a fairy story or a legend out of Ireland about the hawthorn trees. And the hawthorn trees are still kind of viewed with a little bit of superstition. They are said to be kind of I don't know, I'm not exactly sure if the fairies live in the hawthorn tree or if they just kind of take care of the hawthorn trees, and they're very important to the fairy folk. And even today, people will hesitate before cutting one down. If you do cut one down, it's seen as very bad luck. And at least this is what Grace of the Babel's Traveling Yarns podcast said, is that in some places they're even protected by law, that you can't, if you're like building a road or putting up a building, you have to like zone it around any hawthorn trees that are in the area. And I just thought that was fantastic. Just the fact that these trees can still command that amount of respect from this old legend that, you know, came down from years and years and years ago. I thought that was so cool. And because of like the Sherwood Forest, I just thought you know, the name of this yarn, I thought that this would be the perfect colorway to knit another pair of fairy tree socks in. So I am very excited. I love the beginning of a new sock. When you get those stitches on there and you start to see this little crazy toe form, I just think it's like magic. I teach toe-up socks as well. I've taught quite a few classes, both at Knit Circus and then where I used to work in Winona, Minnesota, Yarnology. And it's always kind of magical when someone begins a new, you know, they've never done toe-up socks before, and they do that Judy's Magic cast on, and they start knitting it, and you can see the skepticism in their face, like, this, how is this ever going to be a sock? And you're just like, just wait, it'll start coming together, you'll see it. And then like by the end of the class, or you know, however long it takes them to knit the, you know, the beginning of the toe, they see this sort of little envelope forming, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's a toe. And I'm like, yeah, I told you. So yeah, there's something sort of magical about beginning a toe-up sock. Or I just might be weird, and you guys are like, Jen, it's just a sock, calm down. But I love it. So those are my two works in progress. The fairy tree socks are fairly new right now, again, and I do hope that I can concentrate on my piece of silver just so I can get the body cast off. I'm really, really just really wanting that to, you know, move along a little bit faster. There's so many things I want to knit, so many garments, but I will not cast on another garment until that's done. So, because most of the garments I want to knit are fingering weight sweaters, but I already have a fingering weight sweater on the needles, so I gotta get that done first. Okay, so let's talk about some finished objects. I have 2 finished objects this week, because of course it's been a while. And the first one, since we were talking about socks, I'll just show you these quick. So these are, I think I had just started these the last time I podcasted. I'm pretty sure. That, or maybe I hadn't at all. I think I had. If not, just ignore me. I'll describe them again, just in case I didn't. So these are a pair of the Pebbles socks by Mina Phillip. You can see the texture in the middle there. That's where they get their name from. I did these toe up as well. Her pattern has instruction for both toe up and cuff down. I think she usually does hers cuff down, but any of the patterns that she puts on her socks are, you know, completely adjustable to toe up. And that's the same with the fairy tree socks. I wrote them for toe up because that's what I do. I also wrote them with the Fish Lips Kiss heel as a suggested heel, but you can do whatever heel you want if you want to do them cuff down. The pattern is only on the front, and it's the same amount of stitches. Let's see, I have a size for 56, 64, and 72 in my fairy tree sock pattern. So you can take whatever sock, like cast on number that you like to do. There's a chart for each size, and you can just take that chart and, you know, plop it right in the middle of your, you know, the front of your sock. That's what I love about textured socks, is that usually it doesn't really matter the recipe that you do. You can insert whatever stitch pattern you like, and yeah, that's the fantastic thing about textured socks. So I did do these toe up. I used a one-of-a-kind semi-solid yarn both these yarns are from Knit Circus, and they're actually both on sale too, because this one was a prototype of one of our colors, and you can buy this, but the prototype had some knots in it and things like that, so we put it on sale, and I snagged it. So yes, the toes, heels, and cuffs are all done with that semi-solid, and then the main part of the sock is done with Sagebrush Cowgirl Speckles, and again, that's one of the colorways that we do carry. So if you like that kind of tan background with the teal, again, the lighting, you can't really see it too well, but there's teal, a little bit of like a turquoise green, and a russet red speckled on a tannish background. Then, sorry, my nose is running. Then yeah, you can buy this in our shop. So I just decided to do these kind of short. I wasn't sure how far the yarn was gonna carry for me, because I was doing, I only had 50 grams of the main, the main sock yarn, and I wasn't really sure how much. I didn't have a scale with me when I started the second sock, or when I was ending the first sock, to see how much yarn I had so that I could start the second sock. So I played it safe, and I just did a little kind of ankle sock. I do have some left over, but I'm glad I didn't run out. So yeah, these were fun. I just finished these on Friday night, I believe. Yes. And I'm entering these in like every single cal out there, because everybody's doing a sock knit along, which is fantastic because I love to knit socks. So the Crazy Sock Lady has her year-long sock along. You can enter socks that you are working on all year long, and I think she draws for prizes every 3 months, I think, so that you don't really have to wait. You don't have to wait to like win a prize or something like that until the end of the year. So she draws every 3 months. The Girls in the Yarn Cafe podcast are doing a summer knit along, and they have 2 kind of offshoots of that. They have the summer knits, which is like a garment knit along for summer, and then they have a summer sock along. So I did enter those in the summer sock along. Then Legacy Knits podcast is having their Fancy Feet cal, and that is for any textured sock. So something like that, or something like the fairy tree socks would work for that. So I'll be entering those as well, because I think their knit along goes until July, I think. I'll have to check on that, but I think I can get a pair of fairy tree socks done and have 2 entries for that one. And then, who else? Oh, the Grocery Girls, they always do kind of a year-long, every month you enter a pair of socks that you finished in that month. So I was able to enter these for May, because I began them and finished them in May. And at least I'm pretty sure I did. I have to look at my Ravelry page, but I'm pretty sure I did. And let's see, is that it? I might be missing one, but I think that's it. But that's a lot of sock knit alongs. So I love the fact that they all let you like triple, quadruple dip into all their knit-alongs, and it just makes it really fun when you feel like with one project you could participate in so many groups. If you have like limited knitting time or you're a monogamous knitter, that really helps because you don't have to start 5 different projects to be involved in 5 different knit-alongs. So I really, really appreciate that. So yes, those are I was calling them my cowgirl socks because it's Sagebrush Cowgirl Speckles yarn. And I'm really, really happy to have those done. So the last finished object is one that I think a few of you are dying to see because every time I show this, I get such amazing, positive, and fantastic comments about it for a couple reasons. One, the knit is beautiful, of course, and 2, it's because this is my wedding shawl, and I'm going to use this on June 2nd when I get married, which is, oh my god. I have these moments where I'm just like I'm getting married in less than 2 weeks. And yeah, it kind of leaves me speechless, as you can see. So anyway, here it is. I finished this last week, no, 2 weeks ago, and I blocked it last week. And again, I can't really show you. I'm trying to give you the whole kind of panorama, but I cannot stretch my arm too far. So we're just gonna, there's an edging here. Let's see if I can move my whole body. There's an edging here that is a seed stitch. I did a I-cord edging. I'll show you in more detail too when I finish. Oh, I'm sorry I'm like complaining and in pain, and I don't mean to, not trying to elicit any sort of sympathy or anything. I just really can't move my arm. Okay, so, and it goes on, and here, let's readjust here so I don't have to completely stretch myself out, and there's the edge. Okay, so you can see the lace that I chose to knit this shawl in is like a vine, or it's supposed to look like a vine, kind of. It reminds me of flowers kind of growing and wrapping around a trellis in a garden. And that's what I really wanted. A lot of the elements of our wedding are very focused on natural, and like our florist, they do all their own like farm to table flowers, which I absolutely love, and I'm so excited to see what she comes up with for our bouquets. It's slightly nerve-wracking because like I gave her ideas and we kind of collaborated on what we thought would be pretty, but it all depends on what's flowering right now, and what has come up and what is ready to be harvested on their little farmette. So I don't actually know what the bouquets are going to look like, or what the, we did our own centerpieces, but there's a couple flower arrangements that are going to be more decorative, like for the ceremony, like going down the aisle and stuff like that. So I really don't know what those look like, which is slightly nerve-wracking and also really exciting too. So, but anyway, that's kind of the whole theme for us. Seaver, my fiance, grew up on a farm. I grew up out in the country, and I really, really appreciate just the natural lifestyle, and we both are really focused on kind of bringing all those elements into our daily lives, and so we thought it would be great to have kind of that as our theme for the wedding. So yeah, so that's why I picked this kind of, you know, floral, viney lace. It does have, here I'll show you that edging a little closer now, has that seed stitch edging, which I love seed stitch, and I don't know why. I'm sorry about that. My phone ran out of storage, so I had to delete a few things and come and finish up the podcast. Okay, so I was talking about, I know I talked about it has a seed stitch, the wrap has a seed stitch edging, and I did an I-cord edge on the sides, so you can see kind of what that looks like. Just gives it a really clean look. I didn't want to do a thick edging on the side, but I still wanted it to have some weight to it. So that's on both the top and the bottom. I think I did say I did block this, so it's nice and the lace is nice and open. And yeah, I think it's not too long, but it's going to be just long enough to kind of drape around my arms. I'm not sure how much I'll actually wear it. I'm hoping that it's warm on June 2nd, but it's going to be kind of a really good photo op, and just a really special thing that I will hold on to and cherish, just knowing that I knit this for my wedding. If you're wondering why it's blue and not like white or something, I wanted to match the color of the bridesmaids' dresses. So yeah, so this is pretty much the color that they are wearing. And this color is another Knit Circus yarn. Yeah, having started working there, you're gonna see a lot more of this yarn, I think. But this is on our trampoline base, which is 100% superwash merino. It is a fingering weight, and this is the Cottage by the Sea colorway, which is one of our Sense and Sensibility themed yarns. We have a couple. This is one of the solids that goes in that line. As you can see, with like Sherwood Forest and, you know, yeah, Cottage by the Sea, I forgot the name of it. We do a lot of sort of fandom or themed yarns. We like to have, you know, several different ones that coordinate together. And so yeah, this is part of the Sense and Sensibility line, I guess. So yeah, it's done. It's done, it's done, it's done. So excited. When I cast this off, and especially after I blocked it and folded it up, it was like this huge weight just went right off my back. And I am just excited that I have something special that I made, and yeah, it is fantastic. So, okay, so that is the second finished object, and the most important finished object, and the one that I have been spending the most time on over the last several months. So thank goodness that is finished. Okay, so next I have a few acquisitions to show you. I did already show you the Sherwood Forest yarn from Knit Circus. I got this probably the week after I podcasted, along with, I'm not sure if I showed this to you guys. And if I did, I apologize, but I thought, you know, I might as well just show it again. So I also got this yarn from Knit Circus, and this is a colorway called Kindness is Everything, and the lighting is not doing it justice at all, but it's got blues and purples, and it has this really cool splash of gold ochre that's in there. And I'm getting a little bit of deja vu here, so maybe I did show this to you. I couldn't remember what I had bought after podcasting, but I'm actually pretty sure I did show this to you. Anyway, it's merino and nylon. It's our greatest of ease base, and this batch turned out a little differently than the original colorway, so we put it on sale, and that's, you know, one of the reasons why I bought it. The other reason is I've loved this colorway since we put it out, and I actually like the fact that it's a little more subtle than the one that we carry. So yeah, I really like it. I'll probably knit socks out of it or something like that eventually, but I just thought might as well get it since it's on sale. Okay, so these things I know for sure I did not show you, and that's because a couple of these I got up in Winona when I was there. I didn't actually buy any yarn from Yarnology. I did buy some socks there because they sell Darn Tough socks, and those socks are the best. So I got a few pairs of socks, but I also picked up from my lovely friend Lisa of Abacus Dye Works. I stayed at her house. I usually stay at her house when I'm up there, and she had just gotten back from Yarn Over, which is a fiber show, a one-day yarn fiber show up in the Twin Cities. And I helped her, I helped her unpack her yarn suitcases because I wanted to go yarn shopping. And you guys know that I am a sucker for Lisa's yarn. I probably have more of her yarn in my stash than any other brand, and that only has to do a little bit with the fact that she's one of my best friends. The other reason is it's just incredibly amazing and gorgeous, and I cannot speak highly enough about her yarn. She has a fantastic eye for color, and they're just so interesting. I love, well, you'll see. I'll just show it to you and then you'll see. Okay, so this one is called Cowboy Casanova, and it's on her balanced sock base, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, which is my favorite base ever. So here's her tag. She used to be Three Sisters Fiber Company, but has changed it to Abacus Dye Works. And I don't know, for those of you who don't know, an abacus is one of those kind of old style of counter. I'm not going to say calculator because it's not really a calculator, but it's you like move the little beads over to kind of, and it has what, like 3 or 4 different, I guess it can have as many rungs as it wants, but so you can do like 10s and 20s and, you know, hundreds. No, 10s, hundreds, thousands, Anyway, I was an English major. I don't know math things, but she's an accountant by trade and has turned yarn dyer in the later part of her life. Her children are almost grown now, and she wanted to do something that she was really passionate about. So she started this amazing hand dyeing yarn company, and she's been doing it for a couple years under Three Sisters Fiber Company, and has since changed it to Abacus Dye Works to kind of reflect her background and her first passion, which was numbers. So I think that is fantastic. And again, like I said, this is called Cowboy Casanova, and she actually predicted that I would want this colorway. She had told me that there was one in there that she wanted to give to me because she thought it was, you know, it was so me. And as we're going through them, I like saw this one and I like picked it up and like put it aside. I'm like, by the way, I'm taking that home. She's like, oh yeah, that's the one that I knew you'd want. I was gonna give that to you anyway. And I was like, okay. So this was a gift from her, which I am so grateful for. And I just love all those speckles. I mean, she does speckling so well. I even like where the dye has broken. So where's one of those spots? Like right here. Oh geez, that light. I'm so sorry. So anyway, you can see the green and the blue, and then there's a little bit of like that kind of bright reddy orange in there, and that is where when she, you know, put the dye on the hot yarn in the water bath, it kind of breaks, and you get these colors where, you know, you might be putting blue dye in, but the dye will, the dye will kind of turn, you know, a different color because of that reaction between the heat and the yarn and everything. And I don't know the full science behind it, like why it does that, what, you know, what pigments will come out of what different dyes, and why, but I do know that that is a reaction that happens when there's heat, and yeah. So anyway, so I really love where the dye has broken, but otherwise it's just this beautiful mossy green. Look at that, with some denim blues, and I just love that. So I can't wait to use that one. And then as we were unpacking, I kept getting drawn in by these two, and I couldn't just take one home. I don't really know why, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'll probably do a shawl. But this is the same colorway. Of course, they're hand-dyed, so they look slightly different. But this is called Mesa, I think. Mesa Verde. Mesa Verde. Yep. And, I mean, if that is not Southwest, I don't know what is. But it also kind of reminds me of, like, the prairie. you know, prairie grasses and the blue sky, but it also, like, when we took our vacation out to Utah, southern Utah and Arizona, everything down there is red and brown. There is no green anywhere. There's hardly any water anywhere. You get the sky, and then you get this brownish red landscape. And that, I mean, it's gorgeous. Believe me, it's gorgeous. I don't know if I could live out there, just because I'm not a desert person. Having grown up in the Midwest, where there's so much lush, you know, foliage and grass and water everywhere, I'm not a desert person. But that being said, this is absolutely fantastic and gorgeous, and I just kept getting drawn back to it. And she was like, "You want those too, don't you?" And I was like, "Yes, but I'm going to pay for them." So she let me give her a little bit of money, thank goodness. But she is way too generous, and she would probably give me the shirt off her back if I asked her to. So, because she's just, yeah, she's amazing. So anyway, you guys too can buy her yarn. You can go on her website. It's abacusdyeworks.com. You can follow her on Instagram at abacusdyeworks. You can also buy, oh, now my battery's gonna die. Jeez, it is a morning. She's also gonna have a trunk show with us at Knit Circus in September, or no, August, yes. So if you are in the Madison area and you want to see her yarn in person, she's going to have all her wonderful, delicious hand-dyed skeins at our shop in August. So keep an eye out for that. I will definitely talk about that more when it comes up. She's also going to come to Madison and hang out with me that day. And we're just going to have an awesome, fun-filled, yarny weekend. And I'm so excited. So yes, those are fantastic. Okay, so those are the three I got when I was up in Winona, staying with Lisa. And the next two are also extremely exciting. These are kind of like, I don't know if yarn can be, well, yarn can be famous. Yarn dyers can be famous. These are kind of like celebrity yarns to me, these next two that I'm going to show you. And I had the pleasure of meeting Bethany of Woolberry Fiber Company was that last Saturday? Yeah, the 12th. So Saturday, May 12th, Bethany and her husband Reese and their little guy came to Knit Circus, and she set up her yarns to be sold at a trunk show, and they're actually still there. We are having them until the end of May, but she was there for a couple hours in the morning to do like a meet and greet, to talk to any of her viewers, because she has a podcast as well, of course, the Woolberry Fiber podcast. And it was just a really good morning. I was so excited to meet her, of course, because I watched the podcast, and I've been diligently following her fiber journey on Instagram and through the podcast, and so to finally be able to meet Bethany was such an honor. And her and Reese are such sweet people. Like, they were, I don't know, I just felt so comfortable like talking to them and hanging around with them, and it was almost like I was just, you know, reconnecting with friends, kind of. And I think when you can feel that comfortable around someone, it really speaks to their personalities, and so they were fantastic. But I of course couldn't walk away without buying yarn. So one of these, okay, so Bethany put her yarn out, and I was looking through it, of course, and I was also, of course, working in the shop, so I couldn't hang around too much. I kind of had to go back and forth and make sure, you know, people were finding everything okay, and because they were also, of course, shopping our yarn. And there was a couple times where I'd kind of flip back and just, you know, look over the yarn again, and I had picked out a favorite, and Bethany was joking, saying, "Oh, I'll let you know. I'll let you know if someone buys it all." Well, someone pretty much bought it all except for one skein. And she came up to me and she's like, just so you know, there's only one skein of Graham's Garden left. So, yep, I grabbed it, I put it behind the counter, and it came home with me. So this is on Bethany's Berry Merino sock yarn. It's 100% superwash merino, and it has that wonderful bouncy twist, lofty twist that I love. I love yarn like this, guys. These are my favorite bases. That 80-20 that I showed you of Lisa's and this Bethany's 100% merino, they're just beautiful. So this, as you can tell, has lots of olivey greens, some pinks, and there's other colors kind of hiding in there, but some pinks and peaches, a little bit of like a burnt orange color. It is just gorgeous. So yeah, so because this is 100% superwash merino, I didn't really want to make socks out of it. I do prefer, I don't think it's wrong if you make socks out of 100% wool. I think that our ancestors have been doing that for hundreds of years, and you know, even though now we have this really soft superwash merino, it might not hold up as much as like the really hardy Highland wool socks, or you know, some other type of wool that, you know, that most people are probably making clothes out of. I do think it's okay if you want to make socks out of 100% merino. You know, no one should judge you for doing that, but I prefer doing mine with some nylon in it, just that they last a little longer. So I didn't really want to risk making socks out of this and have them wear out super fast. So I went back to the table. I don't know if it was the next week or if it was still that same day. It may have been that same day. When all the customers had gone, I was closing up, and I'm like, okay, I have to figure out what I'm gonna do with this yarn. And I've been really loving 2-color shawls lately and favoriting a lot of them. So I thought, well, if I can find something to go with this, then I would love to do a 2-color shawl out of this gorgeous 100% merino. So look what else fell into my bag. Oh my gosh, you guys, don't those match? I mean, they don't match, but it pulls the, they both have that really beautiful olive green. See there, and then in here, oh gosh, you can't really see that. In there, that is the same, kind of the same olive. This has some more like dark red spots and this wonderful, you know, kind of berry colors, which I think is gorgeous. And it's on this like blush pink base. This is her P.S. I Love You colorway. And I'm in love with it. And I think these two together are just wonderful. They're similar enough where the contrast isn't going to be like huge, which I kind of like. Bethany's yarn is so subtle and natural looking to me in my eyes that it kind of lends itself really well to a project that, you know, if you're combining them, that low contrast, I think is just perfect. So yeah, so that's Bethany of Woolberry Fiber Co. She is out of Wisconsin as well. She's a little bit further east of us than east of Madison, but she is semi-local. So it was really cool to have her in the shop. That was so exciting, and we had a really good turnout for still being kind of a new shop. We're just getting into doing events like this. To have, you know, a small crowd of people come into the shop and be like, we're here for the trunk show, and just knowing that we got the word out and that people were really interested and excited about it. As someone who kind of plans these events, it was so validating and so exciting, and it's one of those things where you really know that you're in you know, the job that you're passionate about, when you get that feeling of fulfillment and excitement from something that you do. And yeah, it was wonderful. So I'm looking forward to doing some more things like that in the future. We have some really exciting plans coming up with some new dyers that are going to come in, and some other fun parties and things like that. So if you are local or if you're passing through, yeah, stop on in. We do have regular open hours, so even if we don't have an event going, you can come in and shop Knit Circus yarns pretty much whenever you want to, except for Sundays. So yeah. All right, guys, that's about it for me. I better get going. It's about noon, and I have to get a few things done today. Thanks so much for watching. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you want to come back for more. If you do, please hit the subscribe button. That will give you an alert whenever I put a new episode out. And you can also give the video a thumbs up if you'd like. That would be great. It just kind of gets my podcast and my name out there to other people who might have the same interests as you. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. Thanks for sticking in there while I took a bit of a hiatus. I probably will take another short hiatus after this. I can't see myself podcasting next Monday. It's Memorial Day here in the States. So Seaver has the day off, and we are going to be doing last minute wedding prep. Yeah, so I don't think I'll be able to get a podcast filmed then. And then the Monday after that is the Monday right after my wedding weekend. So again, I can't really see myself podcasting then, but after that first week in June, things should be back to normal, and we should be able to keep going at the rate we were before all this crazy wedding stuff happened. So keep an eye out for a new episode in a couple of weeks, and thank you guys again for being so supportive. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter. I forgot to say that at the beginning. And we do have a Ravelry group for the podcast called Driftless Knitting. Right now there isn't a whole lot of activity in there because we don't have any knit-alongs going or things like that. So, but if you do want to ask a question, leave a comment, introduce yourself, there's a thread called General Chit Chat, and you can do that there. So thank you all so much, and I will see you very soon. Bye.